Ever since people started bringing plants indoors, one thing has separated the casual plant owner from the obsessive one: getting the thing to actually flower. Growing a healthy plant is one skill. Convincing it to bloom under your roof, with your light, on your schedule, is a completely different one. In this video, I'll be going through each level of indoor blooming difficulty, from plants that flower practically by accident to blooms that some growers chase for a decade and still never see. So stick around, because by the end, you'll know exactly where your windowsill stands and maybe which level you should be embarrassed you're still stuck on. Level 1, no true difficulty. These are the plants that bloom whether you're paying attention or not. Stick them near a window. Water them occasionally, and they'll throw out flowers like it's nothing. There's no chilling period to fake, no humidity tent to build, no light schedule to obsess over. If you somehow forget to water for 2 weeks, most of these will sulk, recover, and bloom again anyway, almost like they're daring you to try harder to kill them. This isn't a bad thing, and it's definitely not a sign you're doing anything wrong by starting here. Beginner-friendly bloomers exist for a reason. Maybe you're new to plant care. Maybe you just want color on a shelf without taking on a second job. Or maybe you've killed enough plants already that you need a guaranteed win before you try anything harder. Some plants I'd put in this category are kalanchoe, which reblooms so readily that growers give it away just to stop it from taking over a shelf, anthurium, and the classic African violet, all of which will flower under nothing more than a bit of indirect light and mild neglect. What I chose to represent this level is the peace lily. The peace lily produces its white flag-shaped blooms with almost no coaxing, tolerates low light better than most flowering plants, and actually tells you when it's thirsty by drooping dramatically before it's in any real danger, which makes it nearly foolproof, even for someone who forgets their plants exist half the time. It represents level 1 perfectly because it's nearly impossible to prevent from blooming if you give it the bare minimum. Sure, some growers joke that a peace lily blooming isn't an achievement, but for someone starting out, seeing that first white spathe unfurl is exactly the win they needed to keep going. Don't get comfortable though, because level 2 finally asks something of you. Level 2, casual. At this difficulty, the plant starts expecting a little effort, but it still wants you to succeed. Unlike level 1, these plants won't bloom just because you remembered to water them. They need consistent bright light, and a few of them appreciate a light feed during the growing season to actually push out buds instead of just leaves. Mistakes here don't kill the plant, but they will cost you flowers, sometimes for the rest of the year. This is the difficulty most houseplant hobbies actually live in, because it rewards attention without demanding a science degree, a dedicated grow tent, or a spreadsheet to track feeding schedules. Some plants in this category are Hoya carnosa, cyclamen, and most modern begonia hybrids, all of which bloom reliably once you figure out their light preferences. What I chose as the standout here is the Christmas cactus, or Schlumbergera. It's an easy plant year-round, but getting it to bloom on cue means giving it cooler nights and shorter days in the fall, something that happens naturally near an unheated window, without you doing much at all. It represents level 2 because the plant does most of the work, but it still needs you to notice the season changing and leave it alone when it counts. For a lot of growers, this is the sweet spot. Not so easy that a bloom feels meaningless, but not so demanding that a missed flower ruins your week. The next level, though, is where things get serious. Level 3, challenging. At this point, blooming isn't guaranteed just because the plant is alive and healthy. You need to actually understand what triggers it, whether that's a specific light duration, a fertilizer ratio, or a dormancy period. You have to manufacture yourself on a schedule the plant doesn't announce in advance. Skip a step, and the plant will grow beautiful leaves forever and give you absolutely nothing else in return, year after year, no matter how healthy it otherwise looks. This is where Most orchid beginners either fall in love with the hobby or swear it off completely after one disappointing year of leaves and nothing else. Some plants I'd list here are Clevia miniata, which needs a genuine cold snap to trigger its flower stalk, jasmine, and bromeliads, each of which needs a specific push, whether that's cold, drought, or ethylene exposure, before it commits to flowering. My pick to represent this level is the Phalaenopsis orchid. Everyone assumes orchids are impossible, but the moth orchid just needs a consistent temperature drop at night, in direct light, and patience measured in months rather than days. It represents level 3 because it looks intimidating on the shelf, but rewards anyone willing to actually read the care instructions instead of guessing and hoping for the best. Getting that first flower spike to shoot up feels earned in a way a peace lily bloom never does, because you know exactly what you did right to get there. Level 4 is where earning it stops being enough. Level 4, punishing. Up until now, a missed step usually just meant a delayed bloom, maybe a smaller flush than you wanted. Here, one wrong move can cost you the entire flowering season, sometimes an entire year of waiting for nothing. These plants demand a real dormancy period, precise pruning timing, or a fertilizer schedule you genuinely can't fake your way through with good intentions alone, and there's rarely a second chance mid-season if you get it wrong. Miss the window, and you're waiting 12 more months for another shot, watching a plant that looks perfectly fine but simply refuses to flower. Some plants in this category are amaryllis attempting a rebloom after its first year, cymbidium orchids and gardenias, which will drop every bud they've grown if the humidity dips even slightly at the wrong moment. What I chose to represent this level is bougainvillea. Indoors, it actually needs to experience real drought stress before it will flower, which feels backwards to anyone trained to keep their plants consistently watered and happy. It represents level 4 because success requires you to unlearn basic plant care and trust a process that, to an outsider, looks a lot like neglect. This is where blooming stops being routine and starts becoming a deliberate strategy. Level 5 earns its own category for a reason. Level 5, elite entry. I gave this tier its own name because the plants here have a reputation that precedes them. If you've ever tried to bloom a bird of paradise indoors, you already know what's coming. Years of glossy leaves with absolutely nothing to show for it. These plants aren't trying to frustrate you on purpose. They're waiting for conditions that are genuinely hard to replicate inside 4 walls, specifically the size, light intensity, and maturity a specimen needs before it even considers spending energy on a flower instead of another round of leaves. Some plants in this tier are plumeria, which needs strong direct sun most apartments simply can't offer, adenium, also known as desert rose, and mature Hoyas that have gone years without producing a single bloom, despite otherwise thriving. What I chose as the standout and recommendation here is the bird of paradise, Strelitzia reginae, indoors. It typically needs several years of steady growth and a plant large enough to have stored serious energy reserves before a flower stalk even appears at the base. It represents this level because patience alone won't do it. The plant genuinely has to mature first, and no amount of fertilizer or grow light speeds that timeline up. If you've made it this far into the video, dropping a like and subscribing genuinely helps this channel grow, and I appreciate every one of you who does. Now back to the levels, because it only gets harder from here. Level 6, brutal. At this point, the plant's entire reputation is built around how hard it is to get it to bloom at all. Losing a season here isn't surprising. It's practically expected. You can research every triggering condition, replicate humidity and light almost perfectly, and still get nothing because of one single variable you didn't account for. A slightly wrong pot size, a draft near a window, or even the wrong fertilizer ratio during the wrong week can quietly undo months of careful setup, and you often won't know what went wrong until the season's already over. Some plants in this category are Cattleya orchids, which need a very narrow humidity window to set buds at all, Medinilla magnifica, and Clerodendrum, which needs an aggressive winter rest that most people accidentally interrupt by keeping their home too warm. What I chose as the standout for this level is the Vanda orchid. Grown bare root and hanging, it demands near greenhouse humidity, intense filtered light, and airflow most indoor rooms simply don't have, and it will refuse to bloom until every single one of those conditions lines up at once. It requires a level of precision most growers only develop through repeated, frustrating failure. But even at this point, there are still blooms that go beyond what most indoor growers will ever attempt to chase. Level 7. Mythical. This is the point where blooming stops feeling like a skill and starts feeling like a rare event you witness rather than something you achieve. These are flowers that only a small fraction of houseplant owners will ever see in person, requiring years of exact conditions, sometimes a plant's entire early lifespan before it even attempts its first flower, and often a level of luck no amount of skill can force. At this level, failure isn't measured in a missed season, it's measured in years, sometimes close to a decade of growth before a bloom is even biologically possible. Most of these blooms come from plants. People grow specifically for the moment, not for daily enjoyment, sometimes rearranging their entire week around it. Examples in this category are the Titan arum, which can take upwards of a decade before its first bloom, and then fills the room with a smell most people describe as rotting flesh, night-blooming epiphyllum species, and Amorphophallus konjac, all plants whose flowering is treated as an event rather than a routine. My standout for this category is the Queen of the Night, Epiphyllum occipitalum. It can take years of steady, unremarkable growth before it produces a single flower, and when it finally does, that flower opens after dark and wilts completely by morning, lasting only a few hours total before it's gone for another year. It represents level 7 because only a small number of growers ever actually witness it happen, and most of the ones who do are sitting up at 2 in the morning with a timer running and a camera ready. What makes this tier remarkable is that it pushes the definition of what a houseplant can even do. Growers build entire routines around waiting for a single flower, and there's a quiet community dedicated to sharing the exact night it happens for them, photos and all. But for every grower who witnesses one of these blooms, there are thousands who will keep the plant for years and never catch it at the right moment. The goal isn't luck, it's showing up consistently enough that when the moment finally comes, you're actually there for it. That covers all 7 levels. If you enjoyed this one, dropping a like and subscribing genuinely helps the channel keep making videos like this. And let me know in the comments which plant you're currently stuck trying to bloom. I might cover it in a future video. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your own blooms.